Well, hello friends out there in YouTube land. Rob here. Today we're going to be talking about another great thing with the YoloBox, how I like to use it. This is our part 2, using the best settings that we could to get a great internal recording. Hope you enjoy the video. So here we are. We've done a part 1 already, and that was actually using mixed media, mixed format resolutions and everything with YoloBox, and we found that it did record internally, but there was a little bit of choppiness. Now, the whole idea for that original video was to share with you how I use YoloBox when I'm not live streaming to make some extra money. And that was under the guise of sharing with you just some tips about thinking outside of the box, specifically when I teach music like guitar or something. So I've set this back up and I'm recording during the day, as you can see by the outside light. And I'd like to share this with you with what I would consider the most optimal settings, using the same resolution, same frame rates to fit within YoloBox. I have found in the past that when live streaming, using different multiple frame rates, which happens sometimes when you've got 3 or 4 cameras and one of the operators or even I myself forget to set them, hasn't really caused too much of an issue, mainly because I always record internally to the camera. So if I have something to deliver after I have the finalized live stream, it's very easy to go and create something new for the client or the customer. However, in my last video, the issue was that recording internally, I was using mixed frame rates on all of the cameras, which were 3 separate inputs, specifically because I had been using these cameras at different things and just didn't resync them when going back in. If you watch that first video, which is currently private and over on the YoloBox group, really it was put up as a tutorial on what this looks like for them and myself to learn how to fix this in the future. You can go ahead and request that link. I'll be happy to share it with you. Otherwise, this is the updated video with everything set up. I would like to share with you that none of this is sponsored. YoloLive, the company that makes YoloBox, does not support me in any way. They have sent some different cameras to me to use in the past. I've gone on a couple trips with them. But I think this is as a customer relationship because I really do like the products and I make a lot of videos about how to use the YoloLive products. If you want to see any of those, you can check them out over on the YoloLive group and you can find them all over my YouTube page. Also, when I get a product, if I ever review it, I speak the way it is. Reviewers and things like that should be as forthcoming as they are with everything. No money changed hands in this video, and I use these products that we're talking about today, specifically YoloBox, often. So, that being the case, that's my experience. If you do want any of this stuff and you'd like to support the channel, you can use the Amazon links down below or send me a cup of coffee through PayPal. Okay. That's a long-winded thing. So we've got this. I want to show you the other angles that we're going to be working with today. This is where I'm going to share with you what the screen looks like as far as additional angles. There's a PDF that's on of course, an iPad that's down here. So we've got those 3 angles. And today I'm actually using the Verticams by YoloBox. There's 2 of them right here. Angle 1 and Angle 2 are YoloLive's vertical cameras. And I have them placed on 90-degree orientations because the sensor is aligned vertically in a 9x16 and rather than a 16x9. This is made for their in-stream product. I had a great time demoing this product specific for YoloBox and YoloLive out at CES 2023 in Las Vegas. That was a lot of fun. And if you got a chance to stop by and see me there, hey, how you guys doing? So now you know the 2 cameras, the other sources that we've talked about. Let's share what my use case is. And this is how I use YoloBox, like I said, in an instructional setting. Now, when you see this wide area right here, I want you to notice that it should be open. We've got the stage in the background. We got set up. It's during the day. Normally it's afternoon and the sun's on a different side of the house. So when the students come in, they usually sit here or we sit together facing one another so that we can easily see the screen. And that's important because if we're over here on the screen and I want to go ahead and put up something like a PDF, the entire setting gives me the ability to put up there what I'll need them to see and we can sit back and forth and play. Now, the other side of the coin is I'm recording this specific so that I can give it to them in a file on their online classroom experience, right? I want them to be able to look at this and use it as review for later, right? So it's a nice upsell. So sitting here, usually when I'm sitting, I know I'm standing right now, but usually I'm sitting, these things are closer to me. I'm using my computer or my iPad to have my deliverable media that I want to show, and they're getting this experience in something that they can actually see and use again later. So there's an upsell. So YoloBox, generally speaking, is creating that recording for me just from the act of sitting down and teaching the lesson. This is no different than using a Macromium board or Prometheum board that they use in schools. It's no different than using your computer, except for the fact that it is a directed program for, well, a show. And because it's a directed program for a show, you can do this live on location, just like you would anything else. So if you're already interested in YoloBox and you're already interested in those things, you recognize that sure, you could hook up all of this stuff to your laptop or your computer, but that's probably at a different place. It's not as mobile, even if it's in your studio. And if your studio is really just like a living room, I've got a big L-shaped living room and office space right here for that. It's really strange to move all these things around. Running everything through YoloBox is pretty simple. YoloBox also gives you the ability to add titles and stuff like that. We're going to come back up here so that you can see all of my titles are up here. So if I have something that I want to put on the screen like you're going to see right now, you can see that comes up right there pretty easily. So as I'm transitioning through the different parts of my lessons, that becomes simple. It becomes easy to share. There's something else that's over here, and we've got a timer. Now, this timer sometimes is difficult to work with in the way I like to use it, but if we come over here to edit it, let me see where we go. Yeah, we can actually come up here and we can get the transparency and bring the transparency all the way down. And now I can actually scale that timer, and then I can move that timer around. Now that's the way that I prefer to use it, because at this point in time, let's say I've got 30-minute lessons. In between each lesson, there's a 2-minute cool down. So I've got 2 lessons that I'm trying to teach with a 2-minute cool down. So in between, we've got basically 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and then 5 minutes is the way the lessons are set up, and then a little bit of time in between. So it's really about a 42-minute process from when the student sits down and leaves. Well, this timer is very helpful because when I add the timer to the screen, I can have that timer up there and we can see it as we're working, helps keep us on task, and we can do that right there. If you don't know about that dimming level, that's something that was added when the timer second or third generation of the timer, I think. Anyways, I find quite a bit of use for it right there. And it makes a lot of sense. Also, that helps as a practicing aid when they're looking back on it later. It keeps these chunks of what we're doing put down into smaller, bite-sized pieces. Okay, we've got that. We've talked about the timer and all those things. We'll turn that off right now. I can go ahead and we can, as you can kind of see up here, there's some additional stuff. We can add these titles and these generation. And once again, if you tap and hold on the title, then of course we can edit the title right there. Okay, so my point about this is that as you're working with YoloBox, all of these things are done on the fly. You set up your program the way you want your instruction or whatever you'd like to do in the box. And this is saved in the box. So when I come back to it, these templates, it's ready for HDMI 3, HDMI 2, HDMI 1. Of course, I can change it on the fly if I need to, but from the previous lesson to the next lesson, those things are ready to go. If I didn't have my iPad with me, I could very easily add a video source using the PDF function. Now, the PDF function is something that you could load onto the card and then swipe through a book, a PDF view on YoloBox in order to help teach your lesson. Now, this has a program out like we were talking about, although you're not seeing it right there necessarily, but that program out is what the student would see. Okay? And now they're seeing it, right? So if they were seeing this in particular, that's what they would see while we're sitting and learning. Okay. Final thing when we talk about all of this is that once it's said and done, that file is multi-purposed, right? It not only shares with the student what they learned. In my instance, it also has a video record of what I was doing and where I was during the lesson. You know, and I teach kids, middle school, high school, and adults and things like that. So it's always nice to have a welcoming video recording of the lesson that you've done, especially in this day and age. It's a very good thing for protecting yourself, especially if you're having lessons inside your home. That being the case, we can have this so it serves 2 different purposes. So I wanted to show all that because I really like how YoloBox puts this together and allows me to create these things very simply. Finally, I want to share with you a little bit more of the setup. Sometimes I want to use a camera that records the student's hand or motion or my hand motion so they can go back and look. Mainly mine when we're working on a lick or something like that. Well, the way that I'll do that is I'll actually come over here and in this instance, have one camera set up on my hands, so to speak, a split view, and the other camera set up on the music. In this instance, the split ratios between these 2 different views aren't exactly the same, but I think you get the point. And that makes it very simple when the student's going back later and looking at what they're doing to see what I was doing based on what the music was doing, all through that split view that's built right into YoloBox. Okay, so when we look at things like this, switched over to the wrong video. When we look at things like this, I think you can see how easy it is to use YoloBox to make some really great content, especially when you're not live streaming. If you wanted to live stream with this, it would work as well. Now let's take it one simple step further and talk about the industries. Like the whole concept of this video was to share with you how you can use YoloBox to increase your revenue when you aren't doing the things YoloBox was generally designed for, which was just live streaming and as a production studio live stream that's mobile. So the first one, anything that's instructional will work great. But also, could you imagine? Think about this. What if you had a YouTube channel specific or a video channel or a TikTok where you wanted to have hourly or daily streams to invite people to see what you were doing that was trying to sell or promote a product or just share your day to day? Well, you could do that like this very easily on location wherever you were. And with these features, you could showcase products, you could showcase locations. Heck, even when I've got my drone or whatever, I can plug my smart controller into YoloBox, and then what the drone sees comes down here. So if I've got someone that's flying the drone, or if I'm flying the drone and I've got a visual observer, we can show these different things live with multiple camera inputs and audio from YoloBox. There are so many ways that YoloBox can help you make money when it's just sitting on your table that I would encourage you to think about that and to think how your YoloBox, think outside the box to see how you can make some cash. If you've got something you can do, the piano, if you can draw, if you've got something that's a perishable skill that people would like to learn, YoloBox is an educational tool to make that happen. And if you ever wanted to give live, of course, live stream style videos and make that as content behind some kind of paywall on your website or something, YoloBox could manage the entire production. What do you think, guys? Have you enjoyed this video? I hope that you have. Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to thank you so much for watching and remind you I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye for now.